Let's go over it. Is the new patch good or not? Let's see. Swain. Swain's been in a state for a while where his most popular role is support. But mid and top are weakest roles, so whatever. Okay, sure. Okay, whatever I'm saying. I'm saying that mid and bot lane are more powerful in win rate, but support is like more popular but less powerful. Blah blah blah. Okay. We know this already, we discussed Swain. Galio builds are a bit too non-AP skewed currently, pushing him into more of a pure tank that we'd like. We'd like to make Ro a bit more of an attractive item. Compared to other options, they're taking his mana cost down. Wow, so they're gonna make Galio have less mana in order to force him to buy more Ro. I do think that Ro should be an item for Galio. I don't think it's a problem of Galio, right? I think the problem is that Ro is a stinky item, and you guys need to, like, number one, buff it and remove that level up, which I complain about every time. But I do agree that, like, if you look at, like, statistics-wise, way more people have success playing Tongue Galio, which is way more easier also to play for the most part, so this kind of makes sense what they're saying. Volibear, Roa, and Reefmaker and Navori build have been pretty strong. We think it's a cool build, don't need to adjust it fundamentally, but it's a little bit too strong. Okay, that's kind of weird, because from my experience, people have stopped playing that build completely, because Navori is now a lot worse. It also gives like less move speed, and Ro also got pretty hard nerfs. So kind of weird that Riot is saying that this build is too strong, where I think this build is not that good anymore. I don't know, like maybe I'm coping, maybe I'm delusional. But this is really strange to see to me. AP champions. This patch we're nerfing Sorks, okay? We're nerfing a bunch of champs, especially ones that aren't as reliant on Sorks, okay? Gwen builds have skewed too heavily flat AP recently, which has turned her more into a burst champion, which is pretty expectation breaking for counterplay, understanding of what she's capable of. Hui has been a tad too strong for a while in both mid and bot. We're increasing some of the windows for engaging and capitalizing on mispositioned Hui by bumping his Equilon, and a small nerf to his damage output. Okay, so first of all, yeah, nerfing Sorks. Fully expected. Sorks are the best boots in the game now. They're maybe not going to be anymore, but by nerfing Sorks, you're forcing mages to buy more sweetness boots and symbolic souls, because the CT are also bad. Then they're saying, okay, they're nerfing a bunch of champs, fine. Gwen, yeah, I 100% agree with this. Gwen has literally turned into full AP burst champ. I saw people doing like Electrocute Leechbane. I saw people doing like Shadow Flame all the time and Rabadon. She buys literally no defensive items for the fact that she's like kind of like a bruiser in a way, right? Like she's mid champion buying only glass cannon items. I find that extremely weird. I think this champion needs to be nerfed. This is like top 3 best top laner in the game, like please. And then Hui. Also, kind of understandable. I do think Hui is probably too strong, honestly. Hui is being held down by people building him wrong. Hui is being held down by people not playing him well. Because he's a very high-skilled champion. That's always going to be the case even like 3 years from now on. People are not magically going to be so much better at Hui. But, yeah, we'll see what the nerfs are. Non-item scalers. Karthus, Kassadin, Brandt, Aesol, Taric, Nasus, Senna, Camille are champs who benefited a bunch from items becoming weaker, as their inherent kit scalings are stronger relatively and their reason about the pack. We're targeting nerfs at these champs. Okay, totally fine. I agree with most of the changes. I don't agree with Kassadin. I think this nerf was too early. So Brandt, I will talk about specifically because I was confused yesterday why they're nerfing Brandt, but I watched Freak's patch rundown and now I know why. Buffs. Azir, Corki have been champs that have been historically a bit pro-skewed. We're adding some power back to these champs in attempt to less pro-skewed waste. Okay. Aurelia. Set of changes is attempting to make Aurelia a bit more spell-focused and less auto-attack focused while being more early game skewed. Other champions in this list are generally a bit underpowered or receiving simple buffs. Not too much to write. Okay, let's go over really fast what's going on. Okay, so Azir, HP region goes back to 7 and base AD goes up to 4. This is really interesting, okay? So first of all, extremely early game skewed buffs, which will make Azir better in high elo and low elo. Or like, basically better buffs for high elo players. Second of all, his HP region is now completely reverted. His HP region, if you guys remember, a couple of patches ago, when Riot nerfed a bunch of HP region from Azir, Freak did that. Now his HP region is the same as it used to be. So this number got completely reverted. Second of all, I'm not kidding when I say this, I think now we're reaching a point where Azir auto attack is stronger level 1 than his W auto attack. I'm not even kidding. Maybe not the champions, but for minion last hitting a billion %. So if you're a Azir player, it might actually be strategically viable now to auto attack only with last hits and not use W at level 1 point of this spell. Because this ability, I think his base AD is now matching almost his ability now. Because his ability is trash level 1. Like W auto. Corki is getting one of the biggest buffs in the patch, by the way. Passive damage will go from 15% to 20%. This is a 5% increase. This is true damage, by the way. This is massive. This is like insane amounts of win rate. W damage is getting buffed to 200 to 500 plus even higher bonus AD. Why is Riot buffing so much Corki W? Well, they're trying to like make him have this fantasy of, you know, rushing in, like bombard, like, you know, go in type of playstyle, especially like early levels, they want him to be exposed to. And also, this ability, W, is very Loyalist good ability. So this buff is way bigger than Loyal. However, Freak said that you always get guaranteed 2 ticks. If you W over someone, you always get guaranteed 2 ticks of the ability. Meaning that if this ability does 400 damage, 2 ticks is going to result into guaranteed 160 damage on this ability. Apparently, that's how it works. So this is why it says 40% of the ability is guaranteed at the end here. So yeah, I think people will, I think good Corki players are going to abuse the fact that his W is mega strong in all-ins and wave clear. They're going to use this ability to one-shot waves and use this ability to like get insane edges in 1v1s when they're all-inning people. And this is probably going to be more used in bot lane than mid lane, but still. Our damage is also going up by 10 at every rank plus 10% bonus AD. Guys, Corki is slowly reaching a point where he's gonna come back. I'm not kidding. We're slowly there. We might be there already. These are massive buffs. This champion will... He's the most, like, one of the least picked champs in the game. And it's just a matter of time. It's kind of like Skarner. Skarner was, like, hitting the OP for a long time. And Corki is getting there. Gangplank is getting some mana regen up and some E-charge cooldown down by 1 second. So this is nice because biscuits are now changed for Gangplank, right? And he has less mana than before because of biscuits. So like mana regen up is kind of nice for early game, especially because like after Gangplank gets like level 9, mana is no longer an issue on the champ because his Q costs less. As for E-charge going down, I mean, that's just like really good for Gangplank, right? Like Aether mobility, Aether's damage, like this is just like straight up really good for the champion. I don't know if Gangplank's gonna come back. I don't think we're there yet. We probably need to see probably the top champions of top lane, like the top tier champions being nerfed down more for Gangplank to maybe enter meta or maybe more Gangplank buffs. So Aurelia, we already went over this. I'm not going to really comment to it too much. Like TLDR is that she will have less mana to spend in lane. So she's going to have more mana pool, which is very nice. Q cooldown is going to be less early, so better in lane, and Q damage is going to be better as well. The Q minion bonus damage, like these are basically buffs for sure. Only at level 16, this is a nerf right here. R no longer reduces cooldown, this is only a nerf at 16. Doesn't really matter though. Aurelia is just straight up getting buffed. However, you have to understand something. Aurelia is getting buffed, but Bork is getting nerfed, and Bork is her primary item. So I'm not kidding when I say this. I think this champion is probably buffed until she gets Bork and then she's worse. So these buffs are only going to be impactful for about 9 minutes of the game. Then she purchases Bork or like 10 minutes and then she's probably just a weaker champion because Bork nerf is massive. Kayle, W mana goes down by 15. Super happy for Kayle players. This ability is complete garbage and it costs 90 fucking mana and 130 mana. This ability unironically made you not want to put points into it because the mana cost went so up that you were going late game. Very nice because Kayle can't really take mana runes and they're not good on her anyway. Very nice buff. Super low win rate buff and also I would also say more of a loyalist good buff. Malphite 20 more HP buff up, super small buff but better in high elo. This buff is better in high elo. Nyla, EQ damage, okay, I'm not gonna, these are just like some quality of life changes, doesn't matter. Then we have Qiyana, HP regen up and W damage is up with scale. So it's a combination of early game buff for Qiyana with HP regen and late game buff with Qiyana with W damage. The W damage actually applies on every Q. So this damage is, this buff is a lot bigger than people might think because this ability applies even on Q. Every single Q stance that you do. So you proc it multiple times in a combo. But yeah, not that big of a buff, small buff. Seaver, 2 more AD, and then Q damage also big. I already went over Seaver buffs. Basically, she's getting buff mainly in early game, They want Freak said in the patch rundown that they want Sivir to be above 50% winner champion because she's like low agency champion in league, kind of like Misfortune. Basically, their philosophy is that easy champs like Misfortune, Ashe, and Sivir should, for the most part, be always above 50% win rate. So they're trying to push Sivir into like 51% win rate. He's saying right now she's around 50. So yeah, like roughly like 1% win rate buff or whatever. Okay, Talon, one of the most disliked changes for me this patch easily is Talon. Not only is this champ mega unskilled if you actually play against it, he's just not a very high skill champion. He's just not. I'm sorry, Talon players, but your champion is very brain dead for the most part. But this buff is just straight up stupid because what this is going to do is is just going to promote the AF King playstyle in mid lane even more, which is just sitting under tower, spamming W, waiting for level 7 or level 9, and then one-shotting wave. This buff is very terrible. Yes, it's still a better buff that you buff the outer damage rather than the initial damage. I do know that and I do agree with that. It's still better, but the problem is also that you don't have much room to buff anything of Talon. His passive, yes, you could buff it, but the problem is once he gets his ultimate, his passive also becomes non-skill because his ultimate applies passive, then he always procs passive, regardless if he fucks up the combo or not. There's not much room to buff this champion because guess what? The champion is just very brainlessly unskilled for the most part. There's nothing really in the kit that is exciting. There's nothing really in the kit that is high skill. So it doesn't matter what ability buff. Every ability is just simply trash. Low skill. So I hate this buff. Teemo, W passive speed goes up by 2%. Super small Teemo buff, not much to say, super small. And then W bonus damage by Xayah up by 5%. Nice buff. Not gonna push Xayah back into the meta, especially with mages being so dominant right now on bot lane. Everything outranges Xayah, boom. Then we have then we have quickly ASOL. I'm gonna go over this ones quick. So base HP down by 20 and E damage down, just in general. So E is ability that is very low elo skewed, so this is going to impact more low elo win rate on ASOL, and then 20 health more of a high elo skewed change. Weird change, honestly, but yeah, ASOL, honestly, I don't know. This champ is that, especially for high elo. So Brand nerfs are huge. The champ is going to slowly fall completely off everywhere, but the reason why they're nerfing him, according to Freak, is because Brand is the highest winner champion in 3 roles in China. Apparently, he does super well, even at every single elo, even the master, apparently, in mid lane, jungle, and support. So this is a Chinese server-specific nerf. This champion is apparently just fracking China. Yeah, losing some mana region. This is a support nerf, passive detonation nerf, every role nerf, Q mana. Mostly, I would probably say this is mostly a million nerf, and then support and then jungle. Jungle won't get affected that much here. Camille getting also massive buffs. I already went over Camille nerfs. Went over them already, but yeah, huge nerfs on top for in support. Not gonna comment that much. So, okay, here's the thing. Elise is losing armor, and Riot has done this a lot for multiple champions this patch. This means that mages are not getting that buff, but like anything that uses physical damage a lot is getting like buffed by champions using armor. So Elise is extremely high winner this patch. One of the best junglers in solo queue. Armor growth down, armor down. Okay, it's just simple nerfs. Probably like 1% win rate. This also makes like tower diving a little bit worse, right? Because she tanks tower shots. Fiddlesticks, this is Q nerf from Fiddlesticks. Super proud of Riot nerfing the correct spell on Fiddlesticks, which is Q. Q is by far the most unskilled ability on Fiddlesticks because it's point and click. W, you have room to outplay by walking out of range. E, you have room to outplay by walking in, dodging the circle. Q, by far the most unskilled ability. Super glad that Riot is actually nerfing this. Good job. Galio, Galio nerfs are probably hurting him more in support than Milan. The reality is that base mana on Milan Galio doesn't really matter. Galio doesn't have mana issues. Mana issues only appear in late game, but these are early game mana nerfs. Maybe in lane he will have some mana issues now. Maybe, probably not. But this Galio easily has the choice to take mana rune in runes. Easily. Like if you go Aftershock, Transcendence and Nimbus Cloak, you replace Nimbus Cloak with Mana Flow, and boom. This issue is completely fixed. Galio will get basically no nerf this patch. Good Galio players will just take a Mana Rune, and here we go. Nothing changes. Gwen is getting a massive nerf. So, okay, the AP skill and passive is losing like 0.5%. Might not look good, might not look big on paper, but this ability applies on every single ability and every single auto attack, right, of Gwen. So this is like massive nerf. She might need to be buffed after this because probably Riot is going too far with this. They already did the same type of nerf in the past, and it ragged Gwen completely. So Hui is losing QQ damage, is losing 0.5 AP ratio, and E cooldown is bigger for 1 second. So okay. Not the end of the world nerfs, however they do suck. they keep nerfing QQ, which is really weird, which I don't even think, this is not the ability I even primarily use. I use the other Qs way more than QQ. This is the least used ability that I play when I play Hui. But this ability is most likely Loyalist Q. I don't know exactly. This is for sure the worst Q ability for the most part, in my opinion. So it's weird that they're nerfing this one. Yeah, it sucks, it's mostly a late game nerf, but the E cooldown nerf is the bigger one because a second of this ability being up faster or slower can result in like missing a kill, can result in like dying, and then Sork's also being nerfed, and then yeah, Hui is like sad.
Sub-Frown Prime ends soon.
This is 1% win rate nerf minimum. Kaisa, they're saying that they're nerfing Kaisa damage for the reason that she's less binded to melee supports. Basically, is there an invite for the lobby? Basically, they're trying to nerf the passive because she's mostly paired with like Ryle and Nautilus, and if you nerf the passive, it hurts more. It hurts her more when she's paired with those champions compared to when she's paired with a Lulu or with a Sona or something like that. But yeah, passive nerf for Kaisa. Okay, cool. Karthus losing our AP ratio. I think nobody can be unhappy about that. They're nerfing one of the most unskilled abilities in the game, genuinely, right? So nobody's sad about this. Plus Sork's nerf. Kassadin, this champion is going straight back to the graveyard. One patch of being good. People haven't even realized that he's decent. Already nerfed. Like, he's losing so much AP ratios here. 10% Q, 5% E. Like, come on. This champion used to have the highest AP ratios in the game, and now he's slowly turning out into having just mid AP ratios. Goodbye. Never playing you again. Nasus, 2% lifesteal. This is like a revert. He used to have these numbers in the past, and then Q base damage down by 5. Not the end of the world. Still going to be amazing champion. Loyla for the most part. A little bit worse blind. A little bit more reliant on counter picking. Still fine, especially in Loyla. Senna, one of the best supports in the game. Another armor nerf. Riot is nerfing a lot of armor on champions this patch, so they're making like 80 champions better basically. Yeah, 3 armor and then armor growth down. This is the number for armor growth here. She's going to have 93 armor now at level 18 instead of 108. Yeah, she's going to be more squishy, so like an outhook is going to kill her maybe more often. Taric also an armor nerf. Taric's still going to be fine. One of the highest win rate supports even after this nerf in my opinion. Viego, another armor growth. Okay, fine nerf for Viego. Probably still going to be playable for the most part. Volibear, this is mistype. This is E cooldown, not W by the way, for those wondering. So E cooldown is going from level 12, from 12 seconds to 14 seconds. Not a bad nerf, but this also nerfs Bruiser Volibear. So when Riot says that, oh, we're nerfing AP Volibear, yeah, you're also nerfing Bruiser Volibear, don't lie. Yon W damage goes down by 1% on W. Pretty good nerf by Riot. Pretty much the most unskilled ability of Yon is W, let's be honest. So yeah, this is a good nerf. This is going to remove between 10 to 30 damage on average on Yon. Accept on leak so I can invite. Yeah, there you go. I like the Yon nerf a lot. And then Yorick, passive damage. Also, Yon Borg nerf will delete him, by the way. So, people saying maybe that this is too little. Borg nerf is also going to delete him. Okay. Quickly finishing this. So, passive damage on Yorick going down. Super low elo skewed lever because the ghouls have way more impact in low elo. This is about 5% less damage at all points in the time. The math here. Okay. Swain, rework, I went over it already. Lethal tempo is getting 1% bump on melee champions. Attack speed max will go 30 to 36. Not bad, not bad. Decent buff. Okay, one of the biggest nerfs of the patch is Blade of the Ruin King. I mean, this item is losing so much damage here. This item will continue sucking for range, don't worry, but for melee champions, which the item is good, is getting deleted. And melee champions don't have a good alternative for Blade because Kraken is bad and Shiv is bad and all this other stuff. So, still probably gonna have Blade on Yon. But yeah, Blade, like, every champion that buys Blade is just getting slammed here. Aurelia, Yon, Yasuo. I don't know what else. Sorks, 3 last magic penetration. Okay, we're still buying Sorks over Lucidity. Still, probably still buying Sorks over Lucidity. However, now, yeah, Symbolic Souls and Sweetness are getting better. And then Champion Bounders. Okay, alright patch. Blade and Sorks, big changes. Some mids are getting nerfed. Yeah, it's going to change some things on mid lane, but also a lot of interesting buffs happening. That's gonna do it, yeah. Probably gonna see another, like, big patch next patch, just like this, most likely.